Hey, this is Stephen from Lingotek. We're going to be going through a training, a project manager training in Lingotek, to better help you in performing the work you need to do for your Family Search Wiki. So the first thing you're going to do is log into Lingotek with your username and password. In Lingotek, let's go the right one here. In Lingotek, you're going to have a menu called the Projects menu. And this is going to be your Project Manager menu that you're going to do all of the actions you need to take. So mostly what we're going to cover today is creating new projects, creating new workflows, and uploading documents to those new projects, and assigning those documents out to translators. And then you'll also need to learn how to remove the assignments once the translators are finished translating. So to start off, we're going to look at some existing projects that we have open, just to get a feel for what the system looks like. So you go to Projects, and we can see we have all these existing projects. And you won't see all of these necessarily. You may only see the ones that have been assigned to you or shared with you. So one we can take a look at here is the Family Search Portuguese 10-2013. We can see on this screen that this has 50 documents. Here's our columns with our different information. Has 66,000 words. And these are format tags that need to be applied. And then here's the created date of the project and how far along the process we are. So you can also sort your projects a little bit more with these settings up here if you want to sort by certain criteria. And you can also filter by these items here and sort. Now, once you have a project created, you can go into the project and you can see all of the documents that have been uploaded. And here you can take a look at each document, how many words are in each document, what languages they're being translated into, when it was uploaded, and then the percentage of how far along completion it is. You can also search for documents here, and it will filter on your search terms. You can also, in this top box, you can search for documents here as well. Not only can you search for documents, you can search for a handful of things. You can search for projects, documents, workflows, translation memories, glossaries, and different things. Mostly it will be used for projects and documents. Once you take a look at all the documents in there, maybe you want to look at a little bit more detail on one document. So let's pick this document. And we can go in and see, here's the Portuguese. And here's the workflow that the Portuguese has gone through. So we did a pre-fill from translation memory. We did a machine translation, and then a translate, a review, and then a notify and upload. And this is a step used for downloading the documents and uploading them to the wiki. So on here you can also take a look at all the translatable segments in the Segments tab. And it shows you all the text that's going to be translated.
So can we make changes there?
No, unfortunately you cannot make changes here. You can ignore certain ones so they don't get translated if for some reason you don't want them to be translated. Okay. You can hit ignore and then show again if you want it to show. You can also just have it display translatable segments instead of all the other stuff on there. And you can search in here too.
Okay.
If you want to search for size, it shows everything with size in it. So going back to the Targets tab, we can take a look and see the pre-fill's finished. All of these steps are finished. But the key point here is, as well as we see who has been assigned to these different steps. So pre-fill and machine translation are automated steps, so they don't require someone to be assigned to these. These are Google machine translation engines, and then the Vault works by itself. So the steps that need to be assigned are the translate, the review, and the notify and upload. So as a project manager, the two main pieces you're going to assign are translate and review. And those will be assigned to specific teams of translators that you've created or that your community admin has created. So you can do assignments on one document at a time by coming in here and clicking on the link that's available here, or you can do it in bulk. And we're going to take a look at the assignment screen when we do it in bulk versus doing one at a time here. And we'll show you what that looks like. So back on our document, or our project, it has our document list again. You can click these breadcrumbs to move around, to go back if you need to. But to assign all of these documents to a specific team, or to look at who is assigned to all of them, you can select the checkbox on all of the documents, or you can select one or two individual documents. And so we're actually not going to do the assignment now. I'm going to create a new project and upload some new files, and we'll assign the new files. So the next thing we want to look at is probably how to create a project, if you ever need to create a project or a workflow. So the first thing you want to start with is your workflow. These are probably going to be created for you, or there's going to be a template that you can use that someone has provided for you. And so I think we want to look at some of yours, Giuseppe, here. Let's go take a look at some other ones here. So this is the main workflow, right?
Yes.
Okay. So this workflow will be shared with you if you need to create a new project. So you come to projects, you go to workflows, and you're taken to this screen. And you can sort by different workflows. Mostly you'll want to look for shared with me, or all workflows will show it too. But you'll see all of the other workflows you have access to as well. But mostly you're looking for this wiki, do family search. So this may change depending on your community admin. So check with your community admin on which workflow you're supposed to be using for your projects. You can see on this workflow we have a pre-fill from translation memory, which it compares your documents on this project to the translation memory and leverages the previous translations and loads them into the edit box for you. And then everything that's not translated by translation memory goes through the Google Machine Translation Engine. And that's what this step is here. And then we go through a translate to edit that machine translation, and then we do a review of the edited machine translation in step 4. So some other things on here, you can see what translation memory vault's being used and what glossary is being used. You can also see the target language and the source language. So if you ever need to change any of this stuff to a different language or something else, you can configure it. You hit configure, and it lets you go in and change these settings. So specifically on project setup, you can change the translation memory vault that you're using, the glossary that you're using, and the machine translation engine that you're using. Also, you can change the default languages. So right now we're going to Portuguese, but you could add Spanish or French or any of the languages in this list. You can have multiple languages if you need to. So once you've configured your workflow or changed it, minor changes, you will save it and go back to your workflows. And then by clicking on your workflow, and you can now create a new project from your workflow. So use for new project. And we now have a project name, and there's some other items you can fill out if you like, due dates and client names. Those aren't necessary. And you can take a look at your workflow again, just a snapshot, and the rules on the workflow. And then you can make sure it has the right translation memory, which this should all be filled in for you because we configured it on the workflow ahead of time. When you're ready to create your project, you hit save, and this will create our project for us. So now we have a new project. No documents. It's all blank. We're ready to upload some documents now. So you go we're on the project home screen, but I'm going to show you how we get back to here. So if you go back to home, we're on our home screen. We go to projects, and then here's our project list. It will load up, and we name this our training workflow. So on here we have no documents, as you can see again. We hit add documents, and this allows us to pick how we want to upload our documents. So the three ways you're going to use is possibly uploading one file, uploading a zip file, or pasting some text. So for this example, I'm going to upload a handful of files that are in the zip file. So I'm going to select zip. You have to select these options or it will error out. If you select upload files and you pick a zip file, it will error out until you select the appropriate option. So I'm going to select my file now, and I have a zip file here. And then you don't need to, with a zip file, you don't need to worry about this import as, because it will automatically default to whatever filters that is necessary for the file types inside of your zip. Now, if you're on upload files and you pick a file, notice that the import as, the text filter, was selected automatically. So this is set to auto-detect your file type, and then it will upload with the appropriate file importer. So go back to zip file. We're going to upload this zip again. And don't need to worry about SRX or priority. And you can just leave everything the same here as you have set up on your workflow. This is all the default settings from the workflow. And we're going to hit save. And that's going to upload all the files inside of my zip file. Let's give it a second here. Okay, so we can see the automated tasks are started automatically, and that's what this is telling us. So we know the prefill is running by itself, and the machine translation is now running, because those don't need to be assigned. So we can take a look at our documents here, and how many words are in each, and then the progress of each one. So if we click in side of one, we can see where it's at. Oh, we can see prefill's finished, machine translation's finished. The translate start is now going, and it's ready to start being worked on. So these documents are all ready to go. Now we need to assign them to translators. So we go back to our project, select all of our documents, and we do add assignments. This is the bulk action menu. It can be used to add assignments or remove assignments in bulk. There's other options here, but you won't need to use those. The one you may need to use is a delete option. So if you ever have to delete documents, it's in this bulk action menu. You select all of your documents, and you come down and hit delete. But mostly the only things you're going to be using is add and remove assignments. So let's add an assignment to these documents. Here we have the Portuguese, Brazil. If there was 3 languages, we'd see 3 sections repeated of this whole area. This whole area would repeat 3 times for the different languages. So we don't need to assign the prefill. We don't need to assign the machine translate, but we do need to assign translate and review. So we're going to go into translate. Let's see. You're going to pick, let's see, actually, we got to switch to Teams first. Sorry about that. So all of your assignments will be to Teams. If you need to assign to an individual person, you'll do it on this community box. So let's go to Team. Translate phase we want to assign to this team here. And the review phase, which team we want. Let's see, here's our review Portuguese team. And then we're ready to assign these out. So we hit add assignments, and it will go through and add assignments to all of these documents. So if you take a look here at one of them, we can see now that the translate, the review are both assigned to the appropriate teams. And what this does, when you assign these documents to the translators or to the teams, they can start translating them. The way they start translating them is on their dashboard. On the dashboard, they have the tasks list. The moment you assign those documents to the team, they will now show up in the task list for that translators. So let's go back in here. Let's say we finish the translation. They finish the translate, they finish the review. So obviously these show 0%, so we can't see that. But what we'd see is if they're finished, this would show 100%, and this would show 100%. Currently, right now, this document, the only thing that's available to translate is this one. So only this team will see it on their task list. When this finishes, when this gets to 100, and this play button, this resume button gets kicked off automatically when this reaches 100, then these translators on this team will start seeing this in their task list to start reviewing. So let's pretend it's 100% completed. And now what we need to do is these will remain on the task list for the translator until the assignments are removed. So what we're going to go and do is remove the assignments so that we don't cause confusion of finished assignments on people's task list. So you select your documents, you go to the bulk action menu, you remove assignment, and you select the language, and you select what you'd like to remove. So this allows you to remove the entire team. So we remove one team, and let's do the second team. We want to remove the review team and remove the assignments. Finished. And that's basically all you'll be doing inside of Lingotek. So if you have additional questions, make sure you reach out to your community admin, and they'll be able to help you, kind of point you in the right direction, and make sure, if you need any help uploading documents, they can help you with that. So feel free to ask questions as needed. And thanks for joining us today. Additional thing we actually needed to cover, and that's how to download these documents when you're finished translating. So these documents, we're going to pretend they're at 100%, or we can go to, let's go to an existing project that has some finished documents. Okay, so we have these documents. Let's say we want to download these two documents and get them back to the wiki. So you select the check marks and you hit download. This allows you to pick, you want to leave this in original format. You want to download the translated language. So you got to get Portuguese over. The source would download the English. And then these options you don't need to worry about. You just need to have the Portuguese put over and you hit download. This then queues them up and downloads them to your computer, which you can see here. And then you can go through and extract the files and then open them up. And you have access to the translated versions. Any other questions?
No, that's okay.
Okay. All right, well, thanks again for joining us, and let us know if you have any questions.